Don't come to Mom's birthday party. Dad wrote coldly. The whole family doesn't want you there, you're a loser. I smiled and wrote. So you chose money over your son? I cancelled everything, including the restaurant deposit. They were giggling in the chat, but they have no idea what will happen next. My name is Bruce, I'm 38 years old, married, and have 2 children, Jake, who is 9, and Ellie, who will be 6 this summer. We live just outside of Indianapolis. I run a small but growing remodeling business. It's not flashy, but it's honest work and I'm good at it. Life isn't perfect, but it's mine. Or at least it was mine until that text blew the fuse on everything I thought I knew about family. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I just dropped the kids off at school and stopped by a local coffee shop I like to go to before I go to work. I was standing in line when my phone buzzed. It was the family group chat titled, Mom's Birthday, flashing at the top of my screen like a warning I didn't know I needed. I tapped it open, expecting the usual chaos about cake flavors and who had forgotten to RSVP. Instead, I saw this. Don't come to Mom's birthday. My father wrote coldly. The whole family doesn't want to see you, you loser. I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the screen. No emoticons, no soft landing. Just a line, hanging there like a trapdoor. I didn't say anything out loud, but I smiled. Not because I thought it was funny, but because I finally had confirmation. For years they had tiptoed around their disappointment in me. The tension at family dinners. The way they'd sigh when I talked about my work, as if they were making fun of me. And the real kicker, the way they treated my wife, Marissa, like she was an inconvenience. But this message? That was pure honesty. Cruel, unfiltered honesty. I scrolled up. Nothing leading up to it. Just a few messages about party decorations and someone joking about getting matching shirts for everyone. Then this. I typed a line back. So you chose money over your son? Then I deleted the restaurant reservation I'd made 3 weeks earlier. A fancy little Italian place that my mum used to rave about. I'd booked a private room and even arranged for the owner, who owed me a favor from a renovation job, to prepare a special menu just for her. Marissa didn't even know. I wanted to surprise them all, remind them that I was still family, that I hadn't given up on them. Then came the reaction. My cousin Brent replied first with a bunch of laughing emoticons. Then Lisa, my oldest sister, said something like, "You really are delusional." Jenna, my youngest sister, the only one I thought might still have my back, just liked the message and stayed quiet. Then came the meme. My name photoshopped onto a clown. Sent by my own uncle. This one actually made me laugh. Not because it was funny. Because it confirmed exactly what I needed. I was done. What they didn't know was that I'd been keeping receipts. Not the literal kind, but the kind that pile up in your head over the years. Every phone call they didn't return. Every time they made me feel like the black sheep because I didn't chase a corporate job or fake a marriage to look good on Facebook. Every little betrayal I tried to swallow for the sake of family. They laughed in that chat, thinking I'd sulk, maybe turn up anyway to apologize like I always did. But not this time. They had no idea what to expect. They thought they'd knocked me down. What they really did was cut the chain. And I had plans. Oh, I had plans. After that group chat, I didn't say another word. Not on the chat, not to my dad, not to anyone in that family. I let them have their moment. I didn't block them, I didn't delete the thread. I wanted them to see me online, active, living my life. I wanted them to wonder what I was doing. And slowly I began to set the stage. First, I told Marissa everything. Not just about the message, but about the years leading up to it. She listened, no interruptions, and when I finished she didn't say, "I told you so," although she could have. She just nodded and asked me a question. "What do you want to do?" That was the moment I knew I had something most of my family would never have: someone to back me up no matter what. I told her the truth. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted to show them that I never needed their approval, their conditional love, their false concern. I wanted to show them what happens when you burn the only bridge that ever led to anything real. We set to work. I contacted my old friend Mason, who runs a social media agency. I asked him to help me build a new website for my renovation business, a real brand, a complete relaunch. Not just a landing page with my phone number, but videos, testimonials, a booking system, everything. Within a week I had customers messaging me directly from Instagram. It tripled my business in a month. Then I called my cousin Ryan. Not the one on the group chat he left the family years ago after his dad stole money from him. We'd kept in touch. Quietly. He lives out in Asheville, North Carolina. Owns a few properties and always said there was room for me if I ever wanted to move. He'd even offered me a deal on one of his houses a while back. I never followed up. Until now. I told him I was thinking of moving. A fresh start. He didn't hesitate. He said one of his tenants was leaving in 3 months and the place was mine if I wanted it. A 4-bedroom on the edge of the mountains, with space for the kids, a workshop for my tools and peace. Meanwhile, I was playing nice on social media. Posting pictures of me and Marissa at events. Me coaching Jake's Little League team. Ellie's dance recital. Family dinners. Always smiling. Always together. Never once mentioning the chaos behind the scenes. And my family saw it. They watched. I know they did, because one day Lisa sent me a private message. Glad to see you're okay. We all miss you. I left it on read. Then Mom texted. Not in group chat. Directly. Still your mom, Bruce? Can we talk? It was tempting. I almost answered. But I waited. I needed more time. This wasn't about haunting them. This was about showing them what they'd thrown away. The party came and went. I didn't show up, of course. But I heard about it. Jenna, the one who liked the laughing message, got in touch a week later. She said the energy was strange. That people kept bringing me up. That Dad was quieter than usual. Good. Let that sink in. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I had one last piece to put in place. And it would hit harder than anything I could have said. About 2 weeks after Mom's birthday, the silence finally broke. I hadn't texted anyone. I didn't block them. I wanted them to watch. I knew they were watching. And then it happened. I was working late on a kitchen renovation when my phone buzzed. It was a message from my dad. Not on group chat. Just him. Your mom's been crying. You've made your point. Enough is enough. No apology. No ownership. Just the tone he always used, like I was a teenager who had got a bit too loud and it was time to get back in line. That line, "You've made your point," was the most him thing I've ever read. He thought it was about proving something. He still didn't get it. None of them did. So I didn't reply. Not even a dot. 3 days later, Jenna texted me again. This time it wasn't just a text. She asked for a meeting. Said she wanted to talk in person. No pressure, just her. I waited a few hours before replying. Told her okay, a coffee, neutral ground. We met in this little cafe on the south side where no one in our family ever went. I got there early, sat by the window and waited. She came in 10 minutes late, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, jumper too big. She looked tired. Not physically tired. Tired in a way I recognized. She sat down, didn't even order anything. First words out of her mouth. "You were right, Bruce." I didn't say anything at first. I just sat back and let her speak. And she did. She told me about the birthday. How it hadn't been fun. Not even close. Mum spent most of the night pretending to be happy, clinking wine glasses and laughing too hard. Dad hovered like a shadow, pacing, checking his phone, clearly expecting me to walk through the door with some grand apology. But I didn't. And the longer the night went on, the more awkward it got. Lisa was arguing with Aunt Marla about the decorations being too last minute. My cousin Brent made a joke about family therapy and got a cold stare from Mom that shut the table down. It wasn't a party. It was a pressure cooker. And my empty chair was burning a hole in every conversation. Then Jenna said something that took me completely by surprise. After you left the chat, people started talking. Like really talked. Apparently, some of our cousins who I hadn't spoken to in years started asking what the hell had happened. Why everyone was laughing at me 1 minute and acting like I just disappeared the next. Brent, of all people, later messaged Jenna and admitted that the clown meme was weak. He said he didn't know the whole story, he was just following the vibe of the group. Sheep, basically. But at least he owned up to it. Even Uncle Ron chimed in. The same uncle who'd barely said 2 words to me at family gatherings. Turns out he remembered when I helped fix his garage door during a storm one summer without asking for anything. He told Jenna that no one else in the family had ever done that for him. And then she told me something I'll never forget. Mom said you were the one who always needed help, but now that you're gone, everyone realizes that you were the one who always gave help. That hit me. Not because I needed the recognition, but because I hadn't realized how much I was giving to people who never gave back. Jenna was quiet after that. She didn't ask me to come back. She didn't try to defend anyone. She just looked at me and said, "They only loved you when you were quiet and useful." And that was the moment it all clicked. I wasn't the problem. I'd never been the problem. I was just the easiest person to blame when the system started to break down. They built their version of family on silence, image, and obedience. The moment I stepped out of that mold, they turned on me. Not because I hurt them, but because I made them look at themselves. I left that cafe feeling strange. Not angry. Not vindicated. Just clear. Like a fog had finally lifted. And as I drove home, the plan that had been simmering in the background finally began to take shape. The house in Asheville would be ready in 2 months. And I was taking my wife, my children, and my peace with me. The next thing I had to do was make sure they saw me go. After talking to Jenna, I didn't go home angry. I didn't call anyone to vent or start typing one of those long messages I'd never sent. I just sat in my truck in the parking lot of the coffee shop and stared at the gray sky, feeling clearer than I had in years. There wouldn't be a big confrontation, no final blow-up. I didn't want it to be like that. What was coming wasn't a moment, it was a movement. Slow, deliberate, and unmistakable. I started with the company. The new branding Mason helped me implement had already doubled my client base. Now I went further. I invested in a small ad campaign, hired a part-time administrator to handle bookings and billing, and started documenting projects in short, clean videos. Before and after shots, time-lapse footage of renovations, walkthroughs with happy clients. I didn't say anything about my family, but it was all there: the success, the growth, the respect. And people noticed. Cousins who had ignored my texts for years started following the business account. Lisa started liking my posts again, always the ones about the kids. Brent even commented on one, just a thumbs-up emoji under a post about a finished kitchen, but it was the digital equivalent of a knock on the door. Quiet, awkward. I left it alone. I also posted a photo that was nothing special unless you were paying attention, a stack of boxes with a caption that simply said, "New chapter loading." No location. No explanation. Just enough. Jenna texted me the next morning. "Wait. Are you moving?" I didn't answer. Marissa and I spend our evenings sorting, selling, and packing. We donated half the furniture and sold the rest online. Jake and Ellie helped pack their own toys, and we let them paint on the boxes. Their excitement made it easy. We told them it was a new beginning, and kids don't carry the same weight that we do. They don't see what's being left behind, only what's in front of them. Every once in a while, Marissa would stop and ask, "Are you okay?" And every time I'd say the same thing. "I'm better than I've ever been." The Asheville house would be ready in 6 weeks. Ryan sent me photos: fresh paint, polished floors, a backyard with a maple tree big enough for a tire swing. It was everything I never knew I wanted. Quiet, green, wide open. And no one around to tell me who I had to be. A week before the move, I did one last thing. I opened up the family group chat. Scrolled through the messages, most of them had returned to normal. Photos of someone's baby, plans for a summer barbecue, links to restaurants. My name hadn't been mentioned in weeks. It was as if I never existed. I didn't post anything. I just quietly disappeared from the chat. And that was the beginning of the real avalanche. Jenna called first. Straight to voicemail. Then came Lisa's text. "What's going on?" Then Mom. A full paragraph this time. "We heard you're moving. Can we talk before you leave? Please. I don't want things to end like this." I didn't answer. I let it sit. Then Dad texted again. "You're overreacting. Enough is enough." Still no apology. Still the same tone. Like I owed them something. Like the years I spent trying to earn their love didn't matter the second I stopped trying. But they weren't the only ones watching. Something was happening behind the scenes. One of my aunts, who hadn't spoken to me in years, sent me a note thanking me for helping her neighbor with a roof leak 2 summers ago. I barely remembered doing it. She ended her message with, "You always show up when people need you." Then Brent sent me another message. Longer this time. He admitted that the meme was cruel. He said he got caught up in the energy of the group and didn't realize how messed up it was until after. Said he respected what I was doing with my life. Said he wished he had the guts to cut ties too. I read it twice and then archived it. I didn't need an apology. I needed distance. The move was set for a Friday. We rented a truck, loaded it ourselves with a few close friends, and didn't say a word to the family. No goodbyes, no forwarding addresses. Just gone. But I did leave one last breadcrumb. Just before we pulled out of the driveway, I posted one last photo. A shot of our empty living room. Sunlight on the floor. A caption that said, "Sometimes leaving is the only way to grow." Then I turned off my phone. What they didn't realize was that I wasn't running. I was just finally walking in the right direction. We hit the road around 8 a.m. It was overcast, cool, perfect weather to leave everything behind. Marissa was driving the SUV with the kids. I followed in the rented truck, windows down, one arm hanging out, no music. I didn't need a soundtrack. The hum of tires on asphalt and the silence between towns was enough. The drive to Asheville took just under 8 hours, but it felt like minutes. No second guessing. No what-ifs. Just a strange sense of peace that grew deeper the further we got from Indiana. Like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders without me even noticing. Ryan met us at the new house with a spare set of keys and 2 pizzas. The house was better in person. A big wraparound porch, real trees that didn't look like they were suffocating in the suburbs, and space inside. Space to breathe. Space to build without shadows. The kids ran through the hallways, claiming rooms and yelling about how we had to paint Ellie's walls purple. Like the flowers. Marissa leaned against the counter and smiled. She didn't have to say anything. I knew she felt it too. That night, after the kids passed out on sleeping bags and half-built bunk beds, I sat on the porch with a beer and turned my phone back on. Messages poured in. I scrolled through them slowly, like turning the pages of a book whose ending I already knew. Mom had sent another message. "Please don't shut me out. This isn't how families work things out." Lisa had become more dramatic. "You're tearing this family apart." "Over what?" A text? Even Jenna had cracked a bit. "You could have said goodbye. We're your family, Bruce. This isn't you." But the one that stood out was from Dad. Just one line. "You're acting like a child." I actually laughed. After all, that was the best he had. He was still trying to put me down, to put me back into that role where he was in charge and I was the disappointment. I didn't respond. I didn't rage or explain or argue. I just deleted every single message, deleted the thread, and blocked all their numbers. One by one. Quietly, cleanly, finally. No dramatic goodbye. No bitter speech. Just gone. We spent the next week settling in. I slowly transitioned the business, new clients, new licenses, new jobs already lined up thanks to Ryan's connections. Marissa took a remote position at her old company and even started planning a little garden out back. The kids made friends. We met neighbors. It wasn't instant magic, but it was ours. No one here cared about my last name or who my parents were. They just knew me as Bruce, the guy who fixed decks and played catch with his son in the backyard. Then a strange thing started to happen. I started getting messages from old friends back home. People I hadn't talked to in years. "Hey, your mom was crying in church last Sunday, saying you cut off the whole family. What happened? Your sister posted a long thing about forgiveness. Are you okay? Dude, your dad is telling everyone you had a breakdown. What's going on?" That was their narrative. That I'd lost it. That I needed help. Because they couldn't admit the truth that I had broken something they assumed I'd always be too loyal to walk away from. But I hadn't lost anything. I'd finally found peace. And nothing they could say, no rumor they could spread, could take that away from me. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't living in reaction to them. I was just living. 6 months in Asheville changed everything. It wasn't just a new beginning, it felt like someone had quietly handed my life back to me. The mornings were calmer. The kids were thriving. Marissa glowed in a way I hadn't seen since we were in our 20s. And for the first time in my life, there was no weight on my chest when I woke up. No pressure to explain myself. No silent scoreboard on which I was constantly losing. Business was booming. I hired a small crew, turned the garage into an office, and was even offered a contract to remodel a set of vacation cabins up in the hills. Jake made the travel baseball team, and Ellie was invited to perform a solo in her dance recital. We were busy in all the right ways. Tired at the end of the day, but the good kind. The kind that comes from building, not surviving. I didn't think much about my family back in Indiana. Honestly, it was like they belonged to another life. Every once in a while, I'd get a message through a mutual friend, someone who said they'd heard my dad wasn't doing well, or that my mom had started asking around about Asheville. I ignored it. People like that don't change. They just change tactics. But then came the twist I never saw coming. One Thursday morning in late October, I got a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. It was Lisa. Her voice was hurried, a little panicked. Dad had a stroke. He's out of the hospital, but he's not walking right. Mom can't make it on her own. They're moving to Asheville. They rented an apartment. She says she wants to make things right. Can we get together? I didn't call back. I played the message once, deleted it, and didn't even mention it to Marissa. 2 weeks later I saw her. At the local grocery store. Of all places. I was in the cereal aisle with Ellie. She was choosing between 2 boxes, one with a cartoon tiger, the other with some glittery unicorns, when I heard someone behind me say my name. Bruce? I turned. And there they were. My mother looked thinner than I remembered her. Older. Less together. She was holding a shopping basket as if it weighed 50 pounds. My father was next to her, leaning heavily on a cane, eyes dull. But what struck me most wasn't how different they looked. It was how familiar they still felt. The same tension. The same expectation that I'd drop everything just because they showed up. Ellie looked up at me. Who are they? I looked at her and smiled. No one, sweetheart. Let's go. We walked right past them. My mom called my name again, softer this time, but I didn't turn around. My dad didn't say a word. He just watched me. I could feel it, his confusion, his frustration. Not because I ignored it, but because for the first time in my life, I wasn't theirs. After that, they tried again. Lisa texted. Jenna tried calling. Then my mom sent an email. It was long. Tangled. Half guilt, half nostalgia. She talked about birthdays, old memories, how families shouldn't break up like this. She said they were trying to start over, and maybe we could find a new beginning now that we were neighbors. I read it twice. Then I archived it. The old me would have felt torn. I would have written and rewritten a response, wondering if I was doing the right thing. But not now. I had finally reached a place they couldn't follow. They thought I was cutting them off out of spite. But the truth is, I cut them off to protect the life I built. The one they never respected until it didn't include them. And here's the part one never expected. My cousins started reaching out to me not out of obligation, but because they saw what was happening. Brent called me one night out of the blue. He said he was sorry. Not just for the group chat. For everything. Said he respected what I had done. Then my aunt, my dad's sister, texted me to say that she always thought he was too hard on me, but she didn't speak up because that's just the way he was. She wished she had. And one by one, people started to see it. That I hadn't left the family. I outgrew it. Now, most evenings, I sit on my porch, beer in hand, kids laughing in the yard, Marissa reading next to me. And somewhere a few blocks away, my parents sit in a rental house they can barely afford, trying to figure out how they lost their son when they thought they were punishing him. They wanted me to come crawling back to them. Instead, they followed me here. But now all they can do is watch from afar. Because the best revenge isn't anger. It's the happiness they can't be a part of.